Hi, kids. Okay, number 6, greatest films of all time, Singing in the Rain, released 1952, the same year as High Noon on this list. So we've had some very dark films preceding this. Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, time for something different. So Singing in the Rain, directed by Stanley Donen and Gene Kelly, starring Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor, and Gene Hagen. So the start of Singing in the Rain, the basis of it is basically producer Arthur Freed was the head of the musical division, and he decided the great idea, do a greatest hits, come up with a film around songs that he had previously written for other films, um, put them all together, build a story and a film around that. Arthur Freed, by the way, once freed his Arthur in front of 11-year-old Shirley Temple. So, bit of a creepy Hollywood producer. When does that happen? So yeah, gotta point that out. Maybe not a cool guy. So he hired Betty Comden and Adolph Green to write the screenplay, the film around the songs. Adolph Green, yes, people used to be called Adolph. Not sure why that changed. So the two writers go to work and they decide, since most of these songs were written, performed, audience would know them around the late 20s, early 30s. Some people would still recognize them and remember them from then. They would set the film in that time period being the transition between talkies and silent film. That's why this film takes place then. Hollywood likes a good film about Hollywood, and then shortly after, Gene Kelly, Stanley Donen were brought in as directors. They pretty much came from An American in Paris, jumped right into this, made the necessary changes that they saw fit. There's some of the numbers were filmed, planned in different ways, including our title number. Um, yeah, so the two of those two, by the way, very influential in musical history up until they kind of come along and change things. Busby Berkeley musicals. Musicals were short of filmed, reliant on theater musicals. So um, there was kind of a belief that you couldn't have someone just break out into song like is we're used to now. It had to be part of a musical number on a stage. So the musical numbers would always take place on a stage as a musical number. Um, they kind of come along and say, well, why? So they move where the camera is because of Gene Kelly, Stanley's both experience as performers and choreographers. Um, they kind of use the camera to highlight the performance. So it's not just a static shot. It's not just Fred Astaire standing on screen tap dancing. Move the camera around. You can make it more dynamic and capture the energy of the performer. There's some debate about who is really responsible for what between the two of them. They would kind of partnership would splinter off. They would direct different films separately. If you look at Royal Wedding, starring Fred Astaire, there's a sequence where Fred Astaire is dancing in the room and the room rotates. Obviously, something Christopher Nolan took for Inception. So I think Stanley was maybe more of the innovator, but Gene Kelly was also more of the performer. Maybe knew how to capture performance a little better. I don't know. It's up for debate. So our cast: Debbie Reynolds, um, relatively new to Hollywood at this time, not a dancer. Her background was more of a gymnast. She got into Hollywood because there was a beauty pageant. Um, she wasn't really wanting to be a pageant queen, but she saw the beauty contest. She saw the prizes and said, I want those. So she entered. Maybe she'll win. And she kind of used her wit and her charm and her honesty, saying she's just here for the prizes to win. Hollywood producers saw that and said, let's put her in pictures. Of course, Reynolds is the mother of Princess Leia, so that's where that lightning fast wit came from. I could use some of that sometimes, I think. Uh, Debbie Reynolds, Gene Kelly was not very nice to her on set because she wasn't a dancer. And her voice for the film was dubbed over, so that's not Debbie Reynolds singing. And Donald O'Connor, far more seasoned performer. His big number, of course, is make them laugh. So a lot of the things or the scenes in this film, kind of, they would allow improvisation and go over, come up with kind of bits. So there's sort of a lot of comedy bits like you'd see in a Buster Keaton film. Um, and it's no surprise Donald O'Connor would go on to play Buster Keaton in a film later. The running up the wall thing is something that Donald O'Connor had done as a child, so they incorporated that. Donald O'Connor, at the time of filming that scene, was a heavy smoker, 4 packs a day. So twice they filmed it, and twice he ended up bedridden. Donald O'Connor and Debbie Reynolds both kind of finished the day with bloody feet. So strict regiment of dancing there. And then our other co-star, Jean Hagen, also relatively new to Hollywood. I think this is her first musical, but she's kind of a jack of all trades. You could just put in and plug her into whatever. She had done musical comedies. She had done westerns. She had done melodramas. And she had done some film noirs. She had done Asphalt Jungle, Side Street, and No Questions Asked. Then later would come on to be the star on television of Make Room for Daddy, lifelong alcoholic, gets so bad at one point she put into a coma, hospitalized. Yeah, uplifting story there. So, Singing in the Rain, number 6 on this list, because AFI 98 list, it is number 10. It is also on their list of the greatest musical of all time, IMDb. It is number 83 on Metacritic. According to critics, it's number 10. BFI list in 2012, it's number 20 on the critics list, 67 on the directors. And then last year, number 10 on the critics list, 52 on the directors. So it's the first film so far that is on all of those lists in the top 100. Setting the bar a little higher. There we have it. Singing in the Rain, number 6. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe.